Hello friends, my name is Manoj Kumar from Corp IT. In our Kubernetes series, today we'll talk about what are services in Kubernetes. So in the previous video, we already see how we can create our pods, but if you want to access it, how you can do that. So basically, service act as a stable logical abstraction that provide a consistent way to access one or more pod, even as those pod are created, destroyed, or reissued. Since pod are ephemeral, we already discussed it in our architecture video, and their IPs change frequently. Service ensure your application can communicate reliable without constantly updating network details. So this is about the service. Now you can think of how exactly service work. So basically there are four important component of a service. So first is selector. So selector will define it. Okay, this particular service is used by this particular deployment. We can define that using the selector. Then the port. It will specify how traffic should map, basically through which port the traffic will move. Then the type. There are a couple of type of the Kubernetes service we'll discuss on this video, and we have the cluster IP. The cluster IP is a default one, so it by default created for any cluster to for any pod to communicate internally. So now we already discussed what is how the Kubernetes service work. And let's suppose if you want to understand the type of services in Kubernetes, so ideally there are couple of services, but in this video we'll only discuss about the four service, and for the demo purpose we'll only discuss about the two services, that is cluster IP and the NodePort. So cluster IP is your default IP. Your Kubernetes cluster is created, and if you want to have a, let's suppose you have a front end and if you have a back end, and if they want to communicate, you need to provide a static IP so that they can communicate with each other. In that case, you can utilize a cluster IP. NodePort IP is, let's suppose you have a organization and you want to create a service, something that your whole organization can create, because they have like a single network, they have a single VPN. So using that they can do at those things you can utilize the NodePort. And then you have the load balancer. It will use for like the production ready environment. If you want to expose your application to the external internet, then you can use the load balancer. And then something called the external name. So external name, by the name it says, if your services want to communicate to the internet or something, then it will provide you a CNAME. So basically CNAME is a kind of a DNS record. So you can add to your DNS record, and using that DNS record your pod can communicate to the external world. Okay, then why services uh, are critical in Kubernetes network? First thing first, load balancing across multiple pod. It will provide flexible exposure to the internal or external access, service discovery through DNS and environment variable, consistent endpoint even as pod change. So these are the critical thing that we can get it from here. And if you want to have a detailed article, you can definitely check out this article. I already defined lot of good thing. There are a couple of more thing that you will get it over there. So I highly suggest you to look out this article. Now let's just go to our demo video. Okay, so this is our demo. So we are into the services folder. Let's see under the service folder what we have. If we can see, there are three things that are present over there. So one is the deployment file, one is your NodePort service, and another one is cluster IP service. So first let's see our deployment file, cat nginx demo .yaml. So basically what we are doing, we creating a replica 1 for the pod nginx, and port should be 80. Okay, so let's just create this kubectl apply -f engine, not this one, yes, demo.yaml. How we can verify that? kubectl get deployments. Perfect. How we can verify if the pods are running? kubectl get pods. Perfect. Now let's just verify the services. How we can do that? Get services So as of now, there is a default service that is running. We don't want that. Okay, that's a default service that is running in the Kubernetes cluster, so we cannot use that. So now let's just create our first service. So we'll first look into the cluster IP. So this is a basic syntax for a cluster service. So this is the name of the service that we are adding, which app it help. It's Nginx demo. This is a deployment that we are passing it over here. Port is 80, the target port is 80, and type is cluster IP. Now let's just try to see how exactly it works. kubectl get ports. No, my bad. kubectl apply -f, and this file name, it is stating that it is created. How we can verify? kubectl get services. So you can see there is a new service created, Nginx demo cluster IP. This is the IP, and let's suppose we created that. Now we'll create this container. So basically this container will, you can think of it, this is a machine that is in that same network. Okay, so let's just go into that. It will take some time. Now we do curl this thing. To do / also, and see inside that network we are able to access our container. So now let's just exit out of it. Now let's just verify LL. Okay, now let's just create a new service with the cluster IP. Okay, kubectl apply -f. Okay, now, oh my bad, we need to run the NodePort, not the cluster IP. Cluster IP we already did. So now let's just verify the service. Get services. We can see we have a NodePort service. So this is the NodePort, and basically it routed to this particular port. Now let's just verify that. We'll go to our browser, local host, and we can see from here also we are able to see. So this is about a short video about the services in Kubernetes. We already discussed what type of services, why it is useful, and what is the how exactly it works. In the demo part, we also discussed what exactly the cluster IP and how we can access that. We also discussed about the NodePort and how we can access it in the local environment. So that's all for this video. If you have any question or doubt, you can let me know in the comment section. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. If we'll come up with the new videos in our Kubernetes series. So till the time, peace.